It's time to chill out, get your coffee, and get your slip on. This is the Fortean Slip Daily Dose.
Oh, that kid went on a fucking hoot of a fucking adventure. No, trust me, that drug would fucking make you, like, go further than you've ever gone in a masturbatory rage.
And then they see this UFO or whatever it is, this diamond-shaped thing. So, and then 3 helicopters come whizzing in and everything takes off.
I don't know if I buy it, motherfucker. Did Bigfoot come out and tickle somebody's balls? Alright, you hooligans. Fortean Slip Daily Dose starts now. Hello, everybody. Happy Muppet Day. Welcome to the Fortean Slip Daily Dose, episode 24. Clone me a Thylacine, Mr. Science Man. Clone me a Tasmanian Tiger tonight. While idiots research Muppets, we'll talk about real creatures that we can definitely for real say exist, that don't have felt for skin. At least I'm pretty sure that they didn't. The Tasmanian Tiger, the Thylacine, a marsupial, an apex predator. Really cool fucking creature. I got into marsupials at a pretty early age due to a movie. Loved movies. And yet another movie that my parents had on VHS tape that I was allowed to watch for some fucking unknown reason. Howling 3. Who didn't love a good offshoot fucking sequel that had nothing to do with anything else and then was remade with a completely different story in the United States? Yeah. But I was young and liked horror movies, so I was all in. And I especially liked werewolf horror movies. So I was completely all in. I remember at the time there was a show on, I think it was Fox. I think it was called Werewolf, that me and another friend of mine got into pretty heavy at that time when I was watching said howling movie about marsupial fucking werewolves. So that's what kind of got me into the whole idea of marsupials, and that, you know, they're these creatures that, you know, give birth to these very underdeveloped fetuses, basically, and they crawl into this pouch, which they then grow to term, basically, within this pouch. So they're not completely developed, they're not done cooking, so to speak. So, but they have to make it. They come out, they have to, the little fucking thing has to actually make it from the vagina to the fucking pouch. So I thought that was pretty cool, you know, and they carry him around. The Tasmanian Tiger is one of those creatures that people still claim to see, although there are no scientifically documented, you know, there's nothing to document that they're actually still out there. As far as science is concerned, as far as, you know, overall is concerned, they're extinct. I wanted to give a little rundown, and I'm going to do this from Wikipedia, and I know some people hate Wikipedia. If there's information that's wrong, I apologize. but it just gives a general rundown on the fucking thing. The thylacine was the largest known carnivorous marsupial of modern times. It is commonly known as the Tasmanian tiger because of its striped lower back, or the Tasmanian wolf. Native to the continental Australia, Tasmania, and New Guinea, it is thought to have become extinct in the 20th century. It was the last extant member of its family, Thylacinidae. Yeah, that. Specimens of other members of the family have been found in the fossil record dating back to the early Miocene. The thylacine had become extremely rare or extinct on the Australian mainland before British settlement of the continent, but it survived on the island of Tasmania along with several other endemic species, including the Tasmanian devil. Intensive hunting encouraged by bounties is generally blamed for its extinction, but other contributing factors may have been disease, the introduction of dogs, and human encroachment into its habitat. Despite its official classification as extinct, sightings are still reported, though none have been conclusively proven, which I just said. It seems their closest relative is the Tasmanian devil. It also says that the thylacine was one of only 2 marsupials to have a pouch in both sexes, the other being the water opossum. And that's to cover their external reproductive organs when they run. So I guess they didn't want their dick dragging on the ground, which I can get that. Completely understand that. And one of the last things that it says is the thylacine is a candidate for cloning and other molecular science projects due to its recent demise and the existence of several well-preserved specimens. Now, I had also checked out, I think it was last year, the Willem Dafoe movie, The Hunter, which is about a hunter who's contracted to try and go out and find a thylacine. If you like Willem Dafoe, if you like a good independent movie, it's well worth the watch. It's a good movie. Not so much. I mean, there's quite a bit of information about the thylacine in there. However, it's more of a movie. It's more about people than it is about the creature. But it is a really good watch. I definitely recommend checking it out. But then you get into this whole idea of, is it a good idea to bring the Tasmanian tiger back from extinction? If in fact these things are gone. I mean, they could very well still be here. I'm not, saying that they are, and I'm not saying that they're not. I recently watched a documentary on coy wolves, this hybrid between coyotes and wolves that's taking kind of a foothold in the United States, and it's really just, the United States and Canada, I mean, it's really just thriving because it's able to hide really well. People don't see them. They know enough to avoid people, and they're able to just remain unseen. They go about their business. They do their thing. They're very well adapted to their environments. They find secluded places to hide out. Now, there are some of them that are, obviously being seen by people. But in this documentary, I was watching some of these researchers try to follow some of these fucking just coyotes, and they had a fucking bitch of a time finding them with radio collars on them. I'm not saying that the thylacine is still around. What I'm saying is it's very possible for creatures to hide in plain sight. And that's something that I think we as humans need to understand is animals are far better adapted at hiding. I had a friend tell me once that they did an experiment with hunters and white-tailed deer. And they radio collared the deer and the hunters, and then they compared like where the deer were in comparison to the hunters. And a lot of times the fucking deer were right nearby and the hunters just didn't know it. So it's amazing how some of these animals can just hide right in plain sight. And I live, in a fairly rural place. It's, wooded, and I see all kinds of white-tailed deer all the time. When I was younger, I would miss them all the time. Somebody would say, "Oh, there's one," and I'd fucking totally, where the fuck was it? But over time, you learn, what to look for, so you'll see them, in some of these instances. But fuck, I see them all the goddamn time. They're everywhere. So, but it's amazing how some of these creatures can just be right there, and you just never even know it. They're just right there. Like I said, I don't know that I buy that they're still around, but I think it's very possible that they could be, based on the fact that animals like this are able to remain hidden and thrive. Now, I don't think they're thriving. I think if they were thriving, we'd see them. I don't know that they're completely gone. Now, back to the cloning issue. So do we clone something like this? And this is where I'm torn because, as on an evolutionary standpoint, they had their chance. They rose, they fell, they're gone. Nature fucking picked them off. Now, some people will say, well, humans kind of were partially responsible for that. So maybe we should do it because of that. Well, we're a natural course of events too. So to say that what we've done on this planet isn't part of the natural course of events, to me is it gets into that gray area. So I'm really torn when it comes to instances like this of these really majestic creatures, because they are. They're amazing looking. They're very, very cool. There's something to me, there's something out of fantasy. Every so often I have dogs, and I'm reminded of the fact that I have this amazingly huge, majestic creature that fucking hangs out at my house. I have a Rottweiler Mastiff, and she is huge. She's not big. She's I think she tops out at around 90 pounds. But she's a big girl. And every once in a while, I'm just reminded of this fucking animal that lives with me that just fucking hangs out here and is cool. And that is an amazing creature in and of itself. And a lot of times I think in this search for the fantastical and the amazing, we forget that we have these amazing creatures that are right here that we can look at and that we can, study that are here. It baffles me sometimes that our complacency with things that are right there in front of us. We do it with our families. We do it with our animals. We do it with everything. But I don't know that it's a good idea to clone these things back into existence, or even just so that we can look at them in fucking zoos, I don't know if that's right. But what I do know is it's a question that is probably going to wind up getting answered, because people like to push limits. I'm sure somebody wants to do this. So it'll be interesting to see what should happen. This has been the Fortean Slip Daily Dose, episode 24. Shout out to superfan Richard Allen from the UK. This topic was his idea. I hope I went in depth enough for you, Richard. Although probably not. You probably knew everything I said. Although you probably didn't know that I watched The Howling 3. Which had, by the way, a woman turning into a werewolf with rows of titties, I believe. And my parents let me watch that. Just saying.